Welcome to Beyond the Page, the official podcast of Choice, the magazine of professional coaching, where we bring you amazing insights and in-depth features that you just won't find anywhere else. I'm your host, Gary Schleifer, and I'm excited to expand your learning as we dive into this latest article, have a chat with this brilliant author again, and uncover the learnings that are transforming the coaching world. When you have a chance, join our vibrant community of coaching professionals as we explore groundbreaking ideas, share expert tips and techniques, and make a real difference in our clients' lives. This is your go-to resource for all things coaching. But in the meantime, let's dive into our episode. In today's episode, I'm speaking with group and team coach Jennifer Britton, who's the author of an article in our latest issue, Trust, Why is it Intrinsic to Coaching? Her article is entitled Micro Moments, Macro Shifts, Boosting Trust Through Conversation. A little bit about Jen. She's got many titles to her name, BSc, MES. She's a PCC coach, ACTC, and a CHRL. Is a pioneer in group coaching, of course. She's my go-to person for all things team and group coaching, always. She has been the foundation of coaching conversations in any space, in person, virtual, or hybrid. She is the creator of the Conversational Speaker Experiential Tool product line and the Group Coaching Essentials CCE pathway to the ACTC, which, as we know, is the team coaching certification. And she's trained thousands of group coaches since its inception in 2006. She too has a podcast called Coaching Many Podcast and has written several books. Several, come on. I think it's more than several.
We're
I'm
getting on
coaching
10.
instead. About 10. Yeah. Several's three or four, you're 10. Including reconnecting workspaces, pathways to thrive in the virtual, remote, and hybrid world. Jen, thank you so much for joining me again. Our prolific writer, Jen.
Well, thank you. And I should have brought my prolific writer award out. I actually was
Oh,
awarded a wonderful award. Every summer I meet and connect with 40 other writers up in Muskoka. We write together for 72 hours for adult literacy, and there are peer awards that are given out. And so this year I won two awards. With Bic pens on it. If you imagine a big chair with Bic pens, called the Bic, but it stands for bum and chair. So I
oh.
officially was the, person who wrote in a chair longest for 72 hours. I was really in a flow, actually writing fiction this year. So if I
Wow.
include fiction now, there's going to be even more, but you may not find that because it won't be under my real name. It's going to be under a pen name. But I also won the most prolific because this new body of work, this new fiction, I wrote 47,000, almost 48,000 words in 3 days, which is unbelievable even for me as a seasoned writer, because typically in the month of November, that's what I would write. But I was inspired. I was inspired by conversations, which is our topic today. So thank you, Gary, for having me.
Oh,
I think this is our third, maybe even our fourth time sitting down on your podcast. So it's
could be.
always like a pleasure. Really, it's
Yeah.
great to be with you.
Well, and thank you. It is a pleasure. And thank you for all of your contributions to not only the coaching world, but now how would you say to the fiction world, the
The
entertainment
fiction world.
fiction
Yeah.
world.
So it's Canadian romance fiction with a spicy twist. I'll put it that way.
Oh,
Yeah, not going to be published yet, but people might recognize it when it comes
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Connectivity to the
Because you'll
land.
talk about team and group coaching in it, right? No. I'm kidding.
No, but I am talking about experience design. So a lot of my work
Uh,
is even evolving, like as the world of AI continues to become a fabric of our conversations. I think my role is even beyond coaching at this point. It's like, how do we really create AI enabled, but human rich
mm.
contexts and spaces, whether that's physical, whether it's virtual, whether it's AI enabled, whether it's hybrid. So I've really been leaning a lot in this last couple of years now into the future of work piece that is reconnecting workspaces,
Right.
right? That came out 4 years ago now, 4.5 years ago. And originally it was about, thriving in the evolving world, which was virtual remote hybrid.
Yeah.
Now it's AI enabled. It's sort of all of these very interesting things, which in contrast, I think we become much clearer on what's important. And to me, it always comes back to conversation, which is our article
Yeah,
in your wonderful
exactly.
publication that I've been saying you got to get on, you got to go pick up Choice. So I
Thank
think
you.
this is one of your best articles and editions, if I may say,
Yeah.
as as a writing professional as well. I think you and the team have done an amazing job on putting out something that is so relevant for times like this. So thank you
Thank
for all that
you.
you do.
Well, and I want to shout out to our team and also all the other writers that contributed. It was a tough choice. There were so many more great articles than we can publish. So, so stay tuned. You'll see some of them on our blog. It couldn't fit into
Yeah.
the magazine itself. You mentioned an AI-enabled world and,
Hmm.
excuse me, conversations. How does trust fit into the AI-enabled world? What are you,
Ooh.
are there things we should be watching for, worried about, or happy about?
I think this is, I don't know if we want to open this Pandora's box, but as I shared with you before we started recording, I've been spending the last day and a half at a global summit that's being live streamed from Stockholm, Sweden, on the inner development goals, the IDGs, which are really the inner work we need to do to create a pathway to sustainable development or sustainable change. And so it's interesting. I've actually just stepped out of a session where it was really about what needs to happen because AI is becoming like it's part and parcel of many organizational contexts. I know the teams that I work with right now, many of them have been on the forefront of AI. They're not AI organizations, but they're leveraging it because they're learning organizations. And AI really is about how do we speed up learning, but also how do we create, in my body of work, how do we create richer human experiences? Because we can get the data, but it's harder to have the experience and the connection. So to come back, I think to your question is, yeah, what should we be aware of? I think this is really creating new polarities in our world. The conference that I'm at is called Bridging Polarities, and I think with a multitude, and I won't go into details, but in the
Yeah.
multitude of dichotomies that are existing in the world right now, how does that relate to us as coaches? And I said this a few weeks ago. You were there in Halifax at the ICF
Yeah.
Atlantic. It's about holding the space for these dichotomies, these polarities that are existing in the world, and how do we as a coach become grounded and centered in that? Um, yeah, there's a lot of exploration, and I think some of it we might do with our thought partners, human and AI. So I'll
Yeah.
leave it at that.
Yeah, thank you. You left me with a bit of curiosity around, you said speed up training. And
Oh.
the way I hadn't heard it that way. I keep hearing that AI is going to speed up productivity,
Hmm.
right?
Well, it's speeding up, think about anything we do as a business owner, as a leader. I know, yes, my productivity's gone like 10x or 100x because I can access data. I can get the information, right? I can do the research, or AI can do the research on my behalf. Now, for organizations that are moving into the agentic leadership space, which, if you haven't heard that term, that's actually now adding AI agents to your team. So, the team I was working with last week have AI agents, right? The question was really in this quarterly retreat, in this quarterly series of conversations, do we bring AI into the room beyond just the
Mm,
transcription,
yeah,
right? So that's a whole other conversation, right? It's like if you have a team member that is now an AI member, are they equal to those humans on the team?
yeah,
As a coach, I just ask the question. And I'll leave it at that because I think
yeah.
we could go down a big rabbit hole. But as
Oh,
a
big.
coach, I have to ask the teams and organizations I work with, how are you holding AI? Is it an equal voice? Is it not an equal voice? What value is there?
Yeah,
And it comes back to trust, right? Like the addition,
yeah.
trust. What is building trust? What is eroding trust? And what is our role as coach to ensure that we have enough trust to have the real conversations that matter?
And I would add to that, what's behind the lack of trust,
Huge. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's dig into a little bit of the main topic we're here for today, and that's your article. Tell us a little bit more about this notion of micro moments and macro shift.
Macro shifts. So there's sort of a couple of layers to this. I'm sure many of you have heard the term micro moments. It really evolved out of the positive movement in sort of the mid 2010s. It's not my term. It does come from positive psychology, but it's this notion that it's these like little influences that make a huge impact. It's often called the butterfly effect.
Mm,
As I first heard about it in 20, it's probably 2015. I was actually doing an online course through edX with Richard Boyatzis, very well known for his work in coaching and change and the scientific view. And I think that course sort of put me into this realm of positive psychology, looking at the micro shifts. And on a team, right? That's what we see. It's these micro moments. It's the 1% shift that, and I may have said this on your podcast before, but if we imagine sailing, right? If I am leaving Senegal on the west coast of Africa, and I'm in a sailboat, 1 degree rudder change over the Atlantic might mean a difference between the Caribbean and Halifax.
yeah,
That's a pretty big difference, but
big difference.
over time we see these macro shifts. So that's the analogy I sort of want to offer up because that's a very profound uh, sort of metaphor to think about, especially as we look to affect change. In the whiplash of change that I think many places are in the world right now, we are just wanting to survive. This is what I was saying in 2020 with effective virtual conversations. And so, what do we do? Well, let's look to the horizon. Let's use our vision. As Boyatzis would now say in his latest writing, let's use our future self, right? Let's use that ideal self to also help us get traction. So, there's a lot of interesting both research and anecdotes that are now feeding into what readers will see in this article.
Yeah.
And where I've been taking our business here at Potentials realized we've always been like, I've been a thought leader in group and team coaching. I've
Okay.
been the advocate pushing against a tidal wave of people who said, no, you can't disrupt coaching. You can't have more than a one-on-one conversation because it's changed the paradigm. It's changed the paradigm. And, someone recently said, oh, have you heard about the democratization of coaching? I said, actually, I wrote about that in
Yeah.
2009. Like this is why I do group coaching to really allow people
Right.
accessibility to have their voice. And part of that is really creating macro shifts. It's about creating these ripple effects. So in this business, we don't just train coaches, right? We're working with organizations. I, as an experiential educator by initial trade and as an experiential critical educator for social change, which is what I've been doing for three and a
Right.
half decades, really believe in the power of play, right? It's about the conversations that happen in rooms. It's about bringing in, and you've seen the charms. We use dice, we use cards, we use charms. Yeah, different things that get people playing with just perspectives,
Hmm.
different items. And so that's led to the second piece that people are going to see in the article, the Conversation Sparker framework. So I launched Conversation Sparker in 2014 with our first deck of cards. It's now a whole suite of experience and experience design supports for individuals, for coaches, for organizations, businesses is as interesting as the Chicago Symphony to like global organizations are using our products around the
Wow.
world to have these conversations that if we sort of like look forward, it is the ripple effect creating massive change because it's not in little like it's not a dramatic moment that you affect change. It is in the small steps, the daily steps and consistent action, like I wrote about in 2018 with Coaching
Yeah.
Business Builder and Plan Do Track.
Micro moments, macro shifts.
So this is a 2025 version of that, right? And I think we're all, coaching is a process of change. It's what we do as coaches. We help clients move from A to B. I think it's really important that we remember this because sometimes we're so in the change that we don't see the change. We have to step out of it. We have to help our clients step out of it and pause. And that's, again, I go into sort of this four-part framework that we have at Conversation Sparker of the pause, of the focus, of the create and activate. Because the world is a fast place. AI is making it a faster place. but we have to pause to create meaning, to make sense of the world.
Wow.
Yeah,
Take a
it's a
breath from
lot,
that,
right?
right? That it is a lot. I mean, just in this moment, just adding that last little piece about how we're being more productive and learning quicker and creating things faster, right?
Faster.
Yeah,
And but it's attention, right? It's back to the polarity of speed and slowness.
right.
Thomas Kahneman talked about the power of the pause years ago as an economist, right?
Mhm.
Like how are we activating the power of the pause? And we have a upcoming episode at the Coaching Many podcast that's going to really build on to the power of the pause because if we're not pausing, we're not learning, we're
Yeah.
not noticing. And that's the heart really of what we do as coaches.
Would you equate pause and reflection as the similar or same?
I think so. Yeah. Well, like how do we create these reflective spaces, right? It may be through a pause, as simple as catching our breath, noticing our surroundings, doing a journal prompt, rolling the dice and seeing an image, which is like, what the heck does this mean? Like, what does
Yeah.
that mean for me? Or what does this mean for me? Right? Like these little things create pause points to go, oh, whether I'm solo, whether I'm in a group, or whether I'm part of a team. So it's again, I don't want to get too deep on it, but if we think about learning in general, right? And this is how I was trained as a scientist at McGill years ago. How do we create learning? What does learning mean?
Yeah.
And the whole experiential roadshow with Conversation Sparker is about really getting intentional. Not everyone needs to be a learning expert, and AI can do that expertise for us now. But
Yeah.
how do we create the spaces for people to have the conversation?
Well said. Our friend Janet Harvey says, and I don't know if she's quoting, but I remember her telling, she's the first person I heard say it, a pause gives more than it takes.
Ooh, love that. Love Janet, right? Saying
Right?
that. A
I know. Who
pause. That's
doesn't?
great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. You spoke earlier about the things that you're up to,
Hmm.
and what we were up to. You've
Yeah.
spoken at the Future of Coaching panel along with me at the ICF Atlantic Conference. You've
Yeah.
spoken on the ICF Gulf Coast. What do people really want to know?
I think for people are really like curious, what is the future of coaching? Like, will AI take over my role, right? What will happen to coaching? We know that people are turning to AI as their thinking partner.
Mhm.
And I would say that does not replace human connectivity,
Right.
right? Very much group coaching is about bringing peers together in that dialogue. And it is through the process of conversation that we create our meaning. It's
Mhm.
through the process of hearing from someone where it's like, oh, Gary said that. Wow, that's a different perspective.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it that way. And that creates learning. So I personally am very positive as it relates to groups that, in fact, probably any peer group experience is going to become more valued in this moment of going back to the knowledge dump, right? Like AI is just about knowledge. Knowledge is not meaning, and we
Right.
have to discern that.
Oh, that's a great statement.
Yeah, so knowledge is not meaning, right? Like I can have like every book ever published at my fingertips, which is what AI pretty much has done. But that doesn't mean that the way I see the world is different.
Yeah.
And what do we do as coaches? We work around perception and perspective, assumptions and mindset. So will AI ever be able to replace that? Possibly, but not in this short term. I think for now, right? People are when they allow themselves to find the time,
Mm-hmm.
when they're taking the pause, I think they're really finding these moments of deep human connection very important, very transformative.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is, I think, really what I took from our panel a few weeks
Yeah.
ago at ICF Atlantic in Halifax. Yesterday, I was speaking to the ICF Gulf Coast on also future of coaching and talking about sort of where we are in terms of the AI, the change, and again, bringing it back to where one of my new books for 2026, Coaching Plus Change. So it's not coaching and change, it's coaching plus change. It gets into collaboration, it gets into capacity building, it gets into creativity.
Mhm.
Many of the listeners might have seen some of the future of work stats come across their LinkedIn feed this week. There was a publication of some research that came out in January. We podcasted on it in like March, and really looking at the skills needed in 5 years. Creativity is up there, relational intelligence, influence is on the list, social leadership. Again, relational skills. These are where the
Mm.
global powers are saying this is probably what are the skills that are going to be needed in the future. And I think those are very much the landscape of conversation as coaches, helping people develop that self-awareness. That's hard to do, even through good questions that an AI could give you.
Yeah. Well, and I relate that to my AI coach, Gary.
I
And
was going to say, you got your
yeah,
AI coach, Gary. I think that's so
and
cool.
And it is. It's so much fun because it's showing me how the human connection, by doing that, shows me how much more, how important the human connection is. That
Mm.
final piece, that looking you in the eye piece that then AI, I can never 100% meet the PCC markers because one of the markers has something to do with the nuance of facial expression and, you can't,
Presence.
yeah, presence.
Yeah.
And a bot can't see you roll your eyes or sigh or anything like that. So yet,
Yeah.
but then I can always say yet, but
It
but
can ask the
absolutely.
questions, and I'll just, I'll say really, I think that where it is important for us to be focusing now is on growing capacity for holding presence as a coach with all that is coming into the room. So I want to bring that back because that is an advanced skill set, whether we call it mastery or not. It's just this is the ongoing evolution for a coach, not just in their first year, but in their second or third decade, like you and I, right? We also, as seasoned coaches, need to keep growing. And I think our ability and the way we're showing up is that is the mastery piece of like that cannot be that cannot be replicated, which brings us back to trust. Because for coaching conversations to happen beyond the one-on-one, we have to have trust. Otherwise, we're just having a conversation. It's not the deep, like transformational, if we want to use that term, the deep conversations that really do shift things over time. So you have to have trust. If the trust is not there, we're just going to skirt the surface and be like, oh, yeah, this is great, even though it really wasn't great.
Yeah. Well,
So
and to your point about team and group coaching, it's like you can work on trust in one-on-one with a client, then the client goes out into the world, and if there's not trust in the group, so you're taking trust to the group and team level.
you
And
got, yeah, that's my focus. That's always been my focus. And a
yeah,
lot of coaches think, but wait, I trust my clients and they trust me. But do the clients trust the others in the group or the
exactly.
team? That's really where the magic and the moments happen because it's a whole other stance. It really is a whole other stance, which requires that the coach also removes a lot of ego. I'll say it. We also have to be very unattached because we can't control the experience of more than one person. We can't even
Yeah,
control one other person, but we can influence it. But when you've got more than one or two, wow, you got to just step back. And what is it? It's holding the space for
right.
whatever emerges, because you don't know what's going to emerge in conversation these days.
Yeah. Wow.
So
And then I'm picturing you holding the space and then having that agent in there now as well. And I'm thinking,
it's really
wow,
interesting.
this,
Wow. Well,
that's,
what was so interesting for me, and as I finished, so I keynoted for the listeners that weren't with us in Halifax, I delivered for the first time this new keynote on 7 conversations that matter. And
uh,
it really has grown out of this new writing of coaching and change and flow flex skill for solopreneurs. And I was a bit nervous taking it in, but as I thought it was a very powerful experience.
it
You could
was,
like
it
feed
was
into that.
definitely,
But what interested me in the first time of being a speaker in like 3 decades, the AV man said to me, "Wow, like wow, you really held the space in this room."
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, it's what I do, right? But it was interesting because that's what he sees speakers every day. And I had someone yesterday reach out after this presentation saying, I've been in learning development for 40 years, but I've never felt as engaged in a presentation as I did yesterday.
Definitely. Yeah.
And that is the magic. Like, I think that is where you could be in a good conversation. You could probably have an AI be Jen Britton, right? But they will not have the same experience, which evokes your head, your heart, your guts, your hands, and your feet. Like, we got to go beyond head, heart, guts. We get, like, I've been talking for 5 or 6 years about head, heart, guts, hands, putting it into practice, and feet, seeing where it's going to take you and your clients on a journey. And that's the experience design piece that I'm doing a lot of work around right
Yeah.
now.
Well, and you really do hold a room and you dance around the room. And you,
Yeah.
well, what I really love, and I don't know if this was your design or the conference or collaboration, but there was one session where you delivered the 7 powerful conversations, but then there was another session where we had some experiential learning. That was brilliant. That
Yeah.
was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think, again, it's the experiential that stands out. It's what people remember. And earlier this year, so as I was starting to really concretize the experiential roadshow, which is quarterly retreats, I do some of them from the Caribbean. So I want to plant that seed for people who just want to join me in Barbados. I'll be doing one again in late January 2026. But our 20 or winter 2025 one was on making learning sticky, right? Like, really, how do we create memorability? Because that will be the defining piece,
Right.
human versus AI. And back to speed. Like, if I'm in front of my chat all the time, which most of us are at some level, do I remember what it said to me 3 days ago?
Yeah.
No, but do you remember what happened in Halifax? You know that because it was a visceral experience. And that is a memorability that I think will, from a learning standpoint, over time, be the definer. And we may look back 20 years from now and go, oh, just
I
like we're
heard
looking back now and saying, yeah, group coaching, of course.
democratization of coaching. Hello,
Of
that's been
course,
a conversation for 20 years.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I really do feel like, and it's taken a while to sort of get to some of this thinking and conceptual work, which is always informed by my practice with organizations, with teams, with
Yeah.
groups. Um, Theory and research, like, research is great, but we're moving so fast right now that, like, research might be 3 years ago.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that because I was listening to a group talking about research and the process and stuff like that, and I was especially in this speedy world with now with AI and that sort of thing. Is by the time you do research, it's already out
It's
published.
already outdated.
It's
There
already
was a
outdated.
speaker this morning. He had a book come out in May, but the book started 2 years ago through the traditional publishing route, right? Like, I am still on the fence with these next two books, which are in front of traditional publishers right now. If they don't get accepted, it actually might be better because it can get out in the world in a way through our publishing house here at Potentials Realized that is equal. Like, I just feel as a publisher, if you really want speed and you have a team, you get the team that probably worked in that publishing agency already at some part in their life, and you do it yourself.
Yeah.
So
Self-publishing.
exactly.
A reminder of the 2 books.
So the books that are coming up, there's going to be Coaching Plus Change, working title. Stay tuned for that. And then for solopreneurs, because one of the other shifts that's happening with all of the change in world of work is more and more people they're losing their job, right? And they're having to reinvent themselves. So what are you going to reinvent as?
Hmm.
Probably an entrepreneur. And as you know, right, how I cut my teeth with group coaching was because I was teaching as a business studies faculty member. I was teaching entrepreneurial studies when I came back to Canada because I used to work with ecotourism and microtourism and micro enterprise in the Caribbean throughout the 90s and 2000s. So the pivot, the other side of the business is also how do we equip entrepreneurs and solopreneurs
Hmm.
who it is now said that with AI, we will now have billion-dollar solopreneur organizations. So AI agents are not just in corporations, they are in businesses like yours and mine, they are my business to do some of the work. Like, do the work. I don't need to always have a human. I may not be able to have human with some of the additional geopolitical barriers that are also have emerged. I think it makes
Right.
sense to, really look from an economics perspective, like what do we do to overcome some of the global barriers that are being enacted?
Yeah.
So Yeah, so that book is Flow Flex Scale, Nine Catalysts for Solopreneur Growth. And it's a whole other, it's actually a body of work that I've been coaching around since 2017 at the Coaching Biz Growth Lab. And it was originally the 9 box model to entrepreneurs, but
Yeah.
now it's the 9 catalysts. And my clients love it, right? Like it's stuff we've been coaching on every Friday since 2017 from 11:35 to 12:20. And I've seen where those coaching businesses have gone in this 7 year period. So it's time for me to get that book out, and I'll find out on the 28th of the month if it's been accepted or not. So
Well, let us know when they come out and I'll put it in my weekly recap.
yeah, I'd love that. I'd love that because I think again, you've had the experience, especially with the 7 conversations that matter. That's part of
Yeah,
the coaching and change or coaching plus change. And I think that for coaches, it is always about how do we get better at our conversations. So
always.
always.
Well, this has been a wonderful conversation, and
Yeah.
would like to know what else you would like our audience to do as a result of the article in this conversation.
Yeah. Well, as a spark from Halifax, when I had my little postcards, so I've actually got one
Yes.
of the postcards. So you can not only download the postcard, but I've made this into a 20-page ebook to go into the 7 conversations that matter as a currency, as a
Amazing.
catalyst, as a container. I will say, and I did this day one, day two of the presentation, someone's like, I'm going to take Jennifer's coaching questions because these make a lot of sense. And that
Right.
was really the spark to say, this needs to be an ebook. The link is going to be on your website so that
Thank
people can
you.
go and download it. People might be like, well, how do you find so much time? But here's the backstory, right? These things don't need to take time. I was so inspired on my flight back from Halifax to Toronto, which was only 2 hours. I was like, I really need to mock this out. I need to like break it out. And some of it was already like sort of, it was already drafted, obviously, because I'd done the presentation, I'd done the work. And then 2 days later, I was up north at another writing experience. We did a fall 8 hour writing sprint, and it was a beautiful, like 85 degrees,
Oh,
October, first weekend of
leaves
October.
changing.
Yeah, and I just sat down and wrote. Like I just wrote for 5 hours and the ebook was written. I sent it to one of my designers, Ovi, who always has my back. He just did our 2026 FlowFlex scale calendar. And I said, Ovi, I need this within 24 hours. Do you think you can make it happen? He had it to me in 12 hours. And again, he might have used AI. I don't care, but it was a
I
good
don't
output,
care. Get the
right?
job
Like
done.
it's like, and so I went to bed, and it was on my desk by the morning, which again,
Wonderful.
human or global talent, like we want to have good people that can support our business to move at the speed of light
Right.
because people expect it these days. And we don't have to be a big corporation. I don't want to be a
No,
big corporation.
I don't either. I've been
Yeah.
happy doing this since 1987. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And it works. It works. And I think people appreciate the humanity
Right.
to solopreneur businesses because we are there as the CEO and
Yeah.
founder.
We
What a
are.
life.
We look at our boss in the mirror every morning.
Totally. And you sound like my dad who passed away last year. And he always used to say, I think your boss needs to tell you to take some time off. You're working too
Right? That's
hard.
what, yeah. My boss has told me block your calendar every Friday and call it Freedom Friday and don't book any
Ooh.
calls. So he did.
We did. Yeah. Well, I'm in my little shoulder season. Years ago, I put the stake in the ground that I wanted to really be very booked in the shoulders of the year. So, summer, I'm up north, right? I'm working out of Muskoka. I like to do shorter days. I go to the office. I have an office up there, but I don't want to sit in the office all day. I want to be in the lake by,
Thing.
4 o'clock or swimming at 6 a.m. Like I swim multiple times a day, but
Yeah.
I'm very productive. Winter, I've always, of course, wanted to be back in the warmth of the tropics, and that's
Oh,
starting to happen. But the
yeah.
shoulder season, like that's why my fall and my springs are so busy because I'm here, there, and everywhere, and it's great. So
Yeah.
I'll rest
What a
at
beautiful
Christmas
life. You built yourself a beautiful life.
with vision. So back to
Yeah.
vision.
Thank
Anyways,
you.
Gary, I've so enjoyed this. I hope that
And
listeners have enjoyed this. And please,
I,
I know as a podcaster, leave a comment, subscribe to Beyond the Page because it really matters in a world of also AI created podcasts, right? We need the human stories.
yeah, this is the real Gary and the real Jen, people. I know you'll never know, but I know and you know. So, yeah. Jen, what's the best way to reach you?
Always such a good question. So you can find us through our CCE approved programming at groupcoachingessentials.ca. If you're interested in any of the FlowFlex Scale, flowflexscale.com. If you're interested in anything else, I think go to LinkedIn. Find me,
That's what I was
Jennifer
going to say.
J. Britton. I think that is
And
usually the
bottom line
best
in
route.
here,
Yeah.
pick up.
LinkedIn.
I love it. Yeah. No, all those places. You know what, folks, the listeners, you just type in Jennifer Britton. She's
You'll
everywhere.
find me. Even like
Not
my
hard.
Google profile, you can find me now. And this is a great claim to fame with geo, right? Not SEO, but geo.
Oh,
You ask, who do you go to for group coaching, mentor coaching?
yeah,
Like, it's just fun. When people call now, I say, how did you find me? Oh, Chat GPT told me to reach out.
exactly. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Great
So,
resource. Well, and how did you say that again? It's a lot of learning, but it requires meaning.
yeah, there's a lot of knowledge out there. There's a lot of
Knowledge,
information out
right?
there, but we want to create meaning around it for
Yeah.
sure.
That's
So,
why I don't have a fear about AI. I know that it's not going to give me everything I want, and I don't want it to because I still
yeah,
want things to have my take, my voice, my note. Do I
yeah,
use it? Oh, darn right. And then I look at it and I go, yeah, it's not quite what I would say.
yeah.
I'll revise it myself, or I'll ask ChatGPT to do it. So
Yeah.
so much
I
more productive now. So
well, you're a solopreneur, right? With a small
yeah,
team and it's the way to go. Like,
yeah,
yeah, use the
exactly.
resources. So
Got
there's
it.
always more, right? Just as I'm sure you're finding with Coach Gary, there's always going to be more. You're going to continue
I
to
know. I keep
evolve and
changing it all the time.
you're at the
Thanks again.
6.0 version.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks again, Jen, for joining us for this Beyond the Page episode.
My
Yet
pleasure.
again,
Always a pleasure. Hope to see you sooner than
soon.
later.
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Page. As Jen suggested, leave a comment, subscribe, and please send it to your friends, at least one. For more episodes, subscribe via your favorite podcast app. Obviously, the one that got you here would be the best source. If you're not a subscriber to Choice Magazine and you're watching this video, you can sign up for your free digital issue by scanning the QR code in the top right-hand corner. If you're listening to this podcast, go to choice-online.com and click the Sign Up Now button. I'm Gary Schleifer. Enjoy the journey of mastery.